Welcome to APDesign Digital Tools. We're going to be looking at the railings component of stairs and how to kind of get this from kind of this really rather banal normative thing to at least something that has been designed at least one pass over. We're going to become very familiar, and as I think you already are somewhat, with the families, a part of the project browser. And so this is where you'll see kind of everything that's loaded into your Revit file and have all those other options of what you can use, because everything is a family. We kind of covered that already. So I'm going to go into the railing type, and we're just going to come see this type properties dialog box that comes up. And it has some kind of global stuff that you might want to change. Most of these things are somewhat standard and kind of by code. But we're going to talk about those things that we might want to have design intent on. So the heights might not really want to change, but we might want to change other things. But just to kind of demonstrate kind of what this part of it does, so we have baluster offset. So if I put in, say, let's put in 2 feet, I'll apply that, and we'll see kind of immediately that our uprights, our stiles, moved in, the balustrade moved in 2 feet from where the line of the railing was drawn. I'm not sure why, but the actual other railings kind of were left behind. You would think they'd be associated, but okay, so we'll figure out, how Revit works, and we'll just, I guess, play along. So I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to apply that, go bring it back to 0. Okay, so let's look at then some of the other sub windows within this. So we have railing structure. I'm going to edit that. And we're going to look at what we have here. We have 7 rails. I think if you count it up, there would be 7 of these things that are highlighted in blue. And each one is 1 inch. We might just demonstrate that it changes. Let's look right here. Watch that. And as I change it from 1 inch to 1.5 inches, you should have seen it kind of increase in size. So that's where our control is. These are the heights that it comes in. So if we were satisfied with that, we would stop there. But we're never really satisfied. We're designers. We're obsessed. So we want to change things. So I'm going to cancel this. And I'm going to look at, let's say these are kind of like the old Pierce Commons. And these are made of cable. Let's make that happen. So say, okay, I'm just going to get out of all that. And because it isn't an option, I don't have I had 1 inch and I had 1.5 inch. So I'm going to have to make a different profile. The circular is not the problem. It's its size. So I might note kind of where that profile came from. So it is under circular handrail. Remember that because it's going to be important later. So let's go to the families. Let's go to railings. And then if I'm not mistaken, we should look under handrail type. And we're going to see this circular, and I'm going to right click on the circular, and I'm going to just say duplicate. And then you see this other one show up, and I'm going to rename it immediately because otherwise I'll forget, and I'll kind of have these 2.5 inch things that don't really mean 1.5 inch. Let's make this a 3/16 inch cable. Maybe that's enough. Maybe a little thick, I don't know, we're going to see. I'm going to double click on that, and then you'll see that I have, I was worried that this was going to be a handrail thing. Alright, so that's not what I needed. I actually need to go under profiles and look under circular handrail. So, okay, it looked pretty close, but not quite right. Alright, so here we have profiles. I guess I should have known that because actually this is just following a line of extrusion and it's using the circle as a profile. So I need to go to profiles, and I'm going to let me close railing so I don't confuse, and I'm going to right click on that and create new type. I'm going to call this 3/16 inch cable. and then I'm going to double click on it, and I really only have one thing to do. I want to change this 1 inch to, that's the diameter, so I'm going to change that to 3/16 inch and apply that. And then I can go in and edit type and change this to a 3/16 inch cable, and I'll just copy that. I'll start at the bottom, it's easier to navigate. Okay, so now all of those are 3/16 inch cables. I'm going to say apply. Okay, there is one problem with doing that if you really care about code, which we do, is that there's the 4-inch ball rule when it comes to stairs, and essentially that means that you cannot shove a ball through any part of the stair that's like kind of right here. It's anywhere along the railings. And you know, that ball should not be able to penetrate through the railing. It's all based on, I think, an infant's head is the idea. So if I want to do this, and I do, I'm going to need to change each of these incrementally to basically get different distance. So we have 3.0 to 2.7, so I had 5 inches. I really, having 4 inches exactly would be kind of the ideal. So I'm going to go 2'8", 2'4", 2.0, 1'8". In Revit, if you hit the space bar, basically you're basically saying I went from feet to inches. So I'm just going to do that, 1'4", and then 1 foot, and then I'm going to need to add in insert. In fact, I might delete that, and I'm going to duplicate that several times. So that's a 7, that's 1 foot, and then I have 8, and then I have, 8 inches and 4 inches. And apparently I didn't need that one. And just so clean this up, I'll go rail 8 and rail 9. Okay, so we'll apply that. And now we should have pretty close to something that is up to code. It looks like I might have kind of one instance down here that is not quite right. Maybe edit that. Let's go ahead and duplicate one more. And I'll put this at some kind of small number, 1/4 inch. There we go. Just so it floats right above the tread and kind of finishes out. Okay, so that's starting to get pretty good, but what if I don't really, think that this is the rail system or the guardrail that I might want? So how do I change that? Well, all right, let's look at that. For the guardrail, we are using a, let's take a look. I have a top rail, which is the guardrail, that's 1.5 inches, and I had also, that's about all I had. So I want to look at making a new guardrail or top rail. So let's look at what my possibilities are. And this is where I do need to go into railings, and I'm going to see that my top rail, I have just that one option. So I'm going to make a new option, and let's see what its possibilities are. There really isn't a whole lot. So I have handrail, I have 3/16 inch cable. I really need a new profile. Let's say that I wanted to make that some kind of ellipse, perhaps. So I need to kind of go over here and go ahead and make a new family. Go ahead and save this. And let's take a look at what my options are. So it might be under profile. There it is. Profile rail is kind of the optimal. Alright, so now I have this, and all I really need to do is draw a profile. So I'm just going to go in and maybe grab the ellipse tool. Let's see, it'd probably want to be at least maybe 1 3/4 or 2 inches, and then maybe it's kind of somewhat thin. There are some codes that go along with this. It can't be certain size too large or too small. You want to look that up, not for this course, but just kind of as you might implement this in your projects for Studio. All right, so right now we're going to go ahead and make those a parameter. Let's go ahead and add a parameter that this will be our width. Well, actually, I think what we're going to do is we're going to add some dimension to this. So from there to there to there, and I'm going to change this to be equal, and I'm going to change the scale so I can actually read that. And I'm going to do the same thing in the upper direction. I'll just kind of imagine that I might want to use this over and over again, which may be the case. Maybe I want a ellipse profile. And let's go ahead and add one more dimension string, one more dimension string. And we'll go ahead and parameterize this. So this will be the width, and perhaps I want to make that an instance, so I can change it on the fly. And I'm going to do the same to this. Well, not width. Let's add a new parameter. This will be height, and again instance. Apply that. Perhaps change that so at least it comes into a default of say 2 inches. Apply. I don't even like that. Let's see, make it 1 inch. Alright, great. Alright, so we're kind of on our way. The idea here is that I'm trying to change kind of every major part of the stair so that you kind of see how that might be edited and designed. Alright, so let's go in and edit, and we're going to look at rail structure. We're going to go in and look at top rail, and you see that it doesn't show up here because I forgot, we haven't really added it. So I'm going to go now down into the railings part of the family. So I'm going to close this profile so we don't get confused. And I'm going to change this one because this is the one I duplicated earlier, kind of failing to understand what was going on or forgetting. I'm going to call this the ellipse rail. Alright, and then under here I'm going to change its profile. I know this is a lot to... Oh crap, it's not even in there. Oh, I didn't even call it the right thing. Okay, so sorry. These are kind of common mistakes that I make. You probably make them too, so it's probably worth seeing me kind of error here. Alright, so I need to save these so that the name makes sense. And let me go ahead and kind of put that into the right placement. I'll call this my ellipse profile. Okay. Yes. Load into project and close. I should be able to do that. Alright, and now we will go into the railings part, look at the ellipse rail, double click on it, and here now we should see an ellipse profile, and we'll use that and say OK. And now we'll go into the railing and edit its type. Whoa. And we should see under top rail, we'll be able to use the ellipse rail and apply, and let's watch right there and see if it actually works. It looks great.